Yo, what's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to some Go Battle League. Today I'm going to be showcasing an absolutely insane run I made today. Using this team of Empoleon, Shadow Sableye, and Annihilate, I went 20 out of 25. I started off at 29.82, and I finished up on 31.94, so over 200 ELO gained with this team. You're going to see that we do have some favourable matchups, but we also have a lot of negative matchups, and a lot of matchups that if you don't navigate correctly, you can easily lose them. So in today's video, I'm going to showcase all, maybe not all 20 of the wins. Some of the matches were RPS and the opponent top lefted pretty quickly, but you're going to see a lot of different teams. You're going to see me pick up some negative leads like Superior, Annihilate lead, and some tricky backlines. So if you're looking for a team to hit Legend with, or to make a bit of a climb with, you can definitely try this team out. I have to say that Empoleon is quite an amazing lead right now. The great thing about Empoleon is, it has Drill Peck. So if you get an Annihilate lead, you cannot stay in there of course, but you swap into Sableye, force the opponent to swap out. You will most likely lose swap. I've seen a lot of teams with Ape lead, Mandibuzz in the back, which is ABA weak to Charm by the way. But typically whenever you have an Ape lead, you have something weak to Penguin in the back. Whenever you lose lead, you can basically farm down the second Pokemon with Empoleon, fire off 2 Drill Pecks on the Annihilate which will threaten heavy damage or a shield, and then of course look to swoop with your own Annihilate up shields and energy. Empoleon, such a strong Pokemon in this meta, and I do recommend using it if you have it. Then we have Shadow Sableye on the team. I built this Pokemon quite recently. I absolutely love this Pokemon here today. So the opponent's Diggersby swapped out one off the move, so all I had to do here was basically farm up to 2 moves, get one off in the Pelipper, get one off in the Diggersby, and that's good games for the first one. But yeah, Sableye just put in so much work. The Shadow Claws, I've got an attack weighted Sableye. The Shadow Claws put in so much work for me. Even though Sableye is your hard answer to Ape on the team, that's what you have to do, just go straight into it and hope for the best basically at that point. Anyway guys, hopping into the battles, if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, it is absolutely free, and of course I'm going to be showcasing many more teams. This week I've showcased 4 or 5 very strong teams, so hopefully you enjoy, hopefully you learn something new, and let's hop into battles. So we have Sableye here on the opposing Sableye. I set in to get the chip, because I know that Sableye here will force the energy from above snow. We have ABA answers to this Pokemon. Now the thing is, I'm switch locked, so I'm expecting them to have a hard answer to Penguin in the back. So I decide here I'm going to come into my Annihilate. The opponent brings in the Poliwrath. It is so good that I brought in Ape, because of course the opponent's going to swap straight out, Steel Wings completely destroy it, and we're actually going to no-shield this first move. If you're ever Poliwrath in this situation, you kind of do have to commit to the Scald, because Icy Wind just simply does not do enough damage to threaten a shield, and we can basically look to build up to 2 Shadow Balls. The opponent's going to get off a second Icy Wind here. Of course, I'm happy enough to no-shield this, and because I came into Ape here, my switch clock is still open, so I made a very good call here that the opponent would insta-swap, knowing the Penguin is right there, it's going to destroy it, right? Of course they're going to swap straight out. We come back into Penguin here. The opponent can go for an Energy Ball here, but of course we do just slightly outpace, and that's good games well played. So that's something good to keep in mind. Whenever you swap in late on the swap, right? I stayed in for a Hydro Cannon. The opponent's going to automatically swap if they're going to get obliterated by your Pokemon, so that's something you have to keep in mind. If you're playing against good opponents, they're going to swap straight out. They're not going to let you just, do a bunch of damage for free. They're going to swap straight out, and I basically trusted that, and that was the key to winning this one. Anyway, in the next battle we do have Sableye versus Penguin. We win CMP, but I don't want to stay here for too long. There might be something weak in the back, and there is a Charmalone and Ninetales. We do make it to the Power Gem, and this is one of the reasons I really liked Shadow Sableye, because we absolutely one-shot the Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Goodbye. The opponent will most likely bring back in their own Sableye, which is kind of tricky. They can get some energy here. They're going to farm me the whole way down, unfortunately. They get a massive energy lead. So pretty much I'm thinking, right, we have Sableye in the lead. We have a Charmalone Ninetales. There's absolutely no way they've got free answers to Ape on this team. I'm going to sack the Penguin at this point, get the opponent to throw all their energy. They overfarmed an absolute bunch, and I'm going to look to sweep with Ape. The opponent most likely will swap straight out. They come into a Diggersby. Diggersby is fake, however Annihilate just does way too much damage. Once again, we're running Ice Punch. I highly recommend Ice Punch for this Pokemon in this meta. You have a ton of Glygars, you do have a decent amount of Superiors, and a lot of Pokemon that are weak to Ice. I highly recommend Ice Punch. It worked out super well for me. I've been using Ice Punch on the last 3 teams, and I haven't decided to take it off yet. In the normal Great League, you definitely want Night Slash, but I think in this meta, Ice Punch is so useful. The opponent gets off their next move here. We're going to farm it the whole way down, and at this point, even though they've debuffed me twice, the Sableye is super low, we're going to get an Ice Punch off. Had I not been debuffed, I would have farmed it down quicker, but the Sableye was basically dry, and at that point we were going to counter it down anyway, so good games well played to the opponent. Hopping into the next one, we get a fantastic lead in Carbink. What does the opponent come into? They come into a Venusaur. Venusaur behind an Energy is not really a good answer to Carbink. Now, whenever the opponent swaps into a Pokemon, it takes 1 turn to swap, so whenever I threw my charge attack, I made it to 6, but the opponent only made it to 5. The reason that happened is because I threw my move first. Whenever the opponent swaps into you, it takes 1 turn, so make sure you throw your move first. That basically means you're going to be one move ahead of the opponent. Now, I want to keep my thing alive here. I decide I'm going to completely sack the Sableye here at this point. We actually live the Frenzy Plant on 1 HP in a dream, which is perfect. It means Stinky Binky is only going to get 1 rock throw free, and we're basically chilling, right? Now, once again, I decided to go into Annihilate, but like a complete potato. I think I clicked E up here, but the game I think like lagged or something, so I ended up going into Empoleon, quite unfortunately. But the opponent stays in. This is perfectly good for me here. Maybe the switch clock was not quite up yet, and the opponent is going to get off a Rock Slide. I decide here, once again, we've seen like 2 sort of half-decent answers to Ape. We're going to come into the Ape, and it is actually a Gligar in the back, so maybe I should have shielded that. However, I do have Ice Punch on this, and in the 1-0s, you can definitely win this matchup. We can counter this thing the whole way down before they get off to early aces, of course. This just about KOs them from here, and we can punch down the Stinky Binky. Good games well played. In the next match, we have Marowak, which is a fairly neutral lead because they can basically bait Bone Club. Fire is neutral. All of their moves can hit me for some decent damage. They should go for Shadow Bone for raw damage, and of course the opponent shields the first move. So in the zeros, good for Empoleon, of course. I could have called this move. They go for the Bone Club. I'm going to get my next move off straight away here on a CMP tie. Now once again, what I'm seeing is a Ghost in the lead. Pretty good answer for Annihilate, right? Annihilate probably is fine in the back, so what I'm going to do is let this go. I'm going to come into my Sableye. The opponent swaps into a Fairthorn. We come into the Ape. Now the opponent will get off the move first here. I'm pretty fine with this. It does roughly half. We cannot take 2, we can definitely take 1. And what I'm going to do is do 6 counters and CMP the move. It takes them 12 turns, which is 6 counters to get to the move. I recognize that they're pretty much within Ice Punch range, so we go for this move here. If the Marowak comes back, I'll just Shadow Ball it, and we'll see what comes in. It's actually a Greninja. We're going to do 4 and throw. Now, even though a Shadow Ball is resisted, it just does so much damage. The Shadow Ball is going to absolutely delete the Greninja. The opponent does not even get off a move. We come into the Sableye, and the opponent, of course, top lefts. Good games well played. And in the next battle here, we have a Mantine lead. Now, the typing matchup is very positive for Penguin. We're a Water type, we're a Steel type. We resist every single move this thing can throw. However, they're a little bit spammier, and they've got much more bulk. So they can kind of bulk their way through this matchup, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm ABA weak. The opponent goes for the catch. I overfarm, and we come into the Annihilate. Once again, we're going to play this the exact same way. I'm going to judge the opponent's health. They definitely have a very high ranked Pharaoh, because look, these counters are doing way less than before. So I recognize I probably have to Shadow Ball here. I don't think the opponent's going to shield it. They come in, get the farm with Mantine, and we are still in a position where we can threaten a Shadow Ball. So we've seen Mantine lead, we've seen something weak to counter in the back. Most likely we've got 2 things weak to counter. Yesterday I uploaded a team with Fairthorn and Penguin in the back of a Flyer, so I was starting to think it might be the case where that's what it is. The Penguin comes in, goes straight for Drill Peck, and we'll see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent lets that move through, and they come into Annihilate. Shadow Sableye absolutely deletes Annihilate off the face of the planet. If you have a shield up, you can just delete this Pokemon. I'm pretty sure you live a Shadow Ball from Annihilate, even if you're a Shadow from full health. So that's something to keep in mind. I know the non-Shadow definitely comfortably lives it. I think you live it in the deeper red. But anyway guys, hopping into the next battle, we have a Mirror Lead in fact. We have Penguin versus Penguin. A little bit of Penguin versus Penguin action here. The way this works is 2 moves KOs. The opponent swaps into a Zapdos. What I decide to do here is get off the move. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of frame droppage, right? It sucks, it is what it is. We come into Sableye, and what I'm thinking here is, Zapdoses, they love to go for a Drill Peck bait. They absolutely love it. I'm going to call it. It does a lot of damage, and we're going to get off the next next foul play. If the opponent wants swap here, they're going to have to shield twice. It's not going to be the smartest play in the world. They just farm me down with Penguin. However, they're still switch locked, so we come in here and absolutely bully the life out of it with Annihilate. Whenever the opponent's switch locked and you have a hard answer to it, you come in immediately. Now, we're switch locked here a little bit, but once again, guys, we have Ice Punch, which is going to do a lot of damage to Amalgam. I don't necessarily want to come in here with my Penguin anyway, but at this point, like, I think I'm pretty happy to sacrifice the Penguin. Ape can clean up from here. Discharge coming in, that's perfectly fine. We're going to look to go for an Ice Punch. Bit of a misplay. I should have farmed it the whole way down. That's perfectly fine, though. The opponent only gets off 1 move here. This next counter, if it KOs, will prevent the opponent from getting off 2 moves. And we should be basically fine. The opponent goes for Earliest. That would have absolutely ended my life. Good games well played there. The opponent does not get to a move, and you're just seeing that this team is working super well. And I think I'm playing quite well in this occasion. We go 5-0 in that set. So I went 3-2 in the first set, 5-0 in this one. And yeah, we'll of course hop into the rest of the battles. I started off in 29.83, and we just went on a crazy tear today. Massive 5-0, getting us up to 30.64 at this point. In the next battle, we have Empoleon versus Mantine. I do not like this lead, but I cannot swap out. Mantine beats my backline, it beats Sableye pretty well. Of course, I can go for Power Gems, which, by the way, I really want to mention how good Power Gem is on Shadow Sableye. Shout out to Magic Ninja, he was asking if I could use Purified Sableye. Purified Sableye probably is fine, but Shadow has some very, very big advantages. One of which being Shadow Power Gem, it just goes absolutely crazy. Now in this match here, the opponent's shielding. So what does that indicate to you? This can mean one of two things. The opponent either wants to take alignment, just for absolutely no reason except for wanting alignment, or they're very weak to Penguin in the back. We come into the Sableye, the opponent comes into Steelix. Now what I'm going to look to do here is get off the move straight away and get the shield. At this point in the match, I was predicting that the opponent is double weak to Ape, because they have a Mantine lead, weak to Ape, they're coming in with Steelix, which typically you would use to draw out an Annihilate. We come in here, we farm it the whole way down, we make a great play here, and we'll see what the opponent wants to do. I think most likely they come back in with Mantine. They free both of their moves last time, and because we called the Water Pulse bait on the last occasion, with Empoleon, we force the opponent to throw all of their energy. We go for Ice Punch, the opponent shields. What could that possibly mean? Well, I think it means I'm going to shield this back and go straight for another Ice Punch. We should be in a pretty good position here. If they are weak to counter, we're looking pretty decent here. We go for an Ice Punch, look to get rid of this thing, and we'll see what they come in with. They come in with Carbink. Can we still do this? We still have a shield, but look at these Rock Throws, guys. They're absolutely chunking me. I've got no HP left in Sableye. Unfortunately, guys, I made a sort of correct call, but I just didn't quite have enough HP. The best way I could have won this match would have been to recognize that the opponent's shielding, and because they have Mantine in the lead, they're shielding against the Penguin. It means they're very weak to Penguin in the back. Oftentimes, backlines behind Mantine are things like Ferrothorn, Carbink, Steelix, typically Pokemon that are weak to counter, so you might want to swap out at some point. Now speaking of swapping out, we got an 8 lead. We do not want to stay in that matchup. We come into Sableye here. Once again, we have to come into our hard answer. We have a plan for Annihilate, right? The plan is to come into Sableye, they come in with a Flyer, we get the shield, they go for Dark Pulse, and because my Power Gem done so much damage, the opponent is absolutely scared for their lives here and throws off this next move immediately. So they're completely dry, so that means that I can get 6 Steel Wings and CMP, or what I think I would prefer to do is basically to farm this the whole way down. So there's 6, the opponent gives me the free one, expecting me to maybe throw the move. The opponent wants to get the damage off here, and yeah, we're going to farm this the whole way down. Unfortunately, they do make another ace. If they do the 4, and then they do like 3 after, it'll be the ace, so don't worry about it. Now we're going to start launching Drill Pecks on the Ape. Drill Peck number 1 coming in. This will either get the shield or get them extremely low, and of course Drill Peck number 2. Exact same story. This will get them super low if they let it go. Let's see what the opponent wants to do. They double shield, and at this point, guys, Ape with 2 shields can basically sweep just about anything. In comes Superior. Now the opponent only builds up to 5. You would think, oh yeah, just shield the earliest. No, because here's the thing, right? They cannot counter me down. Ape cannot counter down Ape. It's just such a hard task, right? So I'm going to overfarm as much as possible, CMP the next move, go for the Shadow Ball, keep 2 shields. They can't beat me with Night Slash, they can't do any nonsense. I'll take the ace. If the opponent threatens the Frenzy Plant, I will shield it. But if they only threaten the Aurelius, I'm letting it go. With Superior, a super effective Aurelius does less than a neutral Frenzy Plant. So if you're looking to do the most raw damage, you go for that move. Sometimes, guys, going for the super effective move is not always the best play. Frenzy Plant is such a good move that you just throw that if you're looking to do the most raw damage. Similar to Charizard, right? I think a neutral Blast Burn does more than a super effective Dragon Claw. I'm pretty sure that's the case. With Trevenant, a neutral Shadow Ball does more than a super effective Seed Bomb. And in the case of Superior, of course the Frenzy does more than the Ace. Now, I decided to shield the first move. Hurricane will do just, look how much the Weather Balls are doing. Of course I'm going to shield a Hurricane, right? They come into Ape here, and I'm thinking, yo, if we can do this again, get 2 moves off, this will be amazing, right? The opponent's probably predicting that I'm running like Double Dragon, so they decide they probably have to let 1 move go. I come in Sableye here, the opponent comes into a Gligar, so this is still a little bit tricky. I'm going to farm all the way up to the dig here, and look, I'm thinking the opponent's going to obviously throw double ace, they're not going to throw the dig. I'm going to have to call this move. If my memory serves me correctly, they farmed up to 8 here, they go straight for the dig, which will KO the Sableye. So we come in with Ape here, the opponent's 4 off the move. What I need to do in this matchup is, because the Ape got free counters before, I need to be able to outpace the Ape. So I need to absolutely picture perfectly CMP this move, which I do, which gives me a chance of winning this match, basically. I'm not in Night Slash range, I need to commit to the Shadow Ball here. We do get off the Shadow Ball, the opponent was just outside of Ice Punch range, I think. We win the CMP tie on the Shadow Ball, and that's good games well played. So the only way I win that game is, of course, if I shield the dig, right? I can overfarm. I just win the match at that point, right? I made the call, so then my next best play is to overfarm as much as humanly possible, which allowed me to CMP the Ape on the Shadow Ball and win the match. Now the opponent comes into a Chestnut here, not a great answer to Penguin behind an Energy. The only way they outpace me is by going for double Superpower, so I'm going to get off my Drill Peck. I'm of course going to shield this move. They go for Superpower number 1, I swap straight into Sableye, they don't go straight for the next move, they farm up to the Frenzy once again. Now I'm thinking, because they're debuffed, this Frenzy should not knock me out. We comfortably survive, however we don't want to give up on our shield, so we will go for the foul play. So we're taking advantage here. We still get the penguin on the Ninetales, but we're still in such a tricky spot. Look at my switch clock. It's only about 60% complete. So as soon as I come into penguin, they're going to come into their hard answer. So I come into the ape, the opponent comes into surf-etched, and this should be basically good games at this point. Once again, the best possible play for the opponent is switch lock my penguin versus their duck. If their duck gets on my penguin, I hate to say it, but the duck beats the penguin. I knew that. I came into Harambe instead, and we're going to take this out. At this point, guys, we can still wing this thing the whole way down. The opponent's moves are all resisted. That's a complete hard wall to Ninetales, and we're doing, of course, double super effective steel wings. Now at this point, we find the ultimate core breaker for this team, Dedenne. Dedenne, the ultimate core breaker. Ryan Swag would be proud of this opponent. Now guys, I'm going to keep it real with you. I did not think this would do that much damage. It almost takes me out, but it puts me in a position to basically win the zeros. Now, I'm pretty lucky the opponent did not decide to catch. I come into Sableye here, and we're going to look to start ramping up a little bit. I'm going to go for the foul play. I overfarm here. I think Dedenne wins CMP. I'm not 100% sure on that fact though, but we're going to overfarm a little bit here. Look to go for a foul play, which at this range with all of those Shadow Claws will take out. And we'll basically look to see what the opponent has in the back. Now my thought process once again here is I'm going to get the shield off the opponent. I'm thinking, because again, they have a very strong answer to Ape in the lead. They're showing a penguin in the back, which is of course weak to Ape. It might just be double weak to Ape. So we're going to sacrifice the Sableye at this point. Sableye's done an amazing job here. Forcing energy, forcing shields. That's what Sableye's good for. And we're going to come into Ape to try and sweep. So we come in Ape here, and the opponent's staying in, so I realise, okay, they're definitely going to throw this move here. They cannot really afford to wait too much longer before throwing. So whenever the opponent's in a position where they basically have to throw, that's always a good time, of course, to go for the catch right there. We go for the catch. I'm assuming it was something weak to Ape, or probably the opponent's own Annihilate. I would counter down the Empoleon. The Shadow Ball one-shots the opposing Annihilate if that's what it is, and that would have been good games well played. So hopping into the next battle, here's a match you need to pay attention to. We're going to come straight into... Oh, sorry, we're actually going to play this out a little bit, but we're going to come into Sableye at some point here. Basically, what we need to do is draw the Carbine Kettle back. We have to do that. We get the shield, and as soon as I get the shield, bang, I'm out. Now, the opponent builds up to 2 moves. I decide to take the first move. The opponent actually goes for Aerial Ace, which is a good call by me. And I realise, like, they're just trying to get the shield back. Fair enough, I'm going to give you the shield. They bring out Carbine. They actually come into a Crocolore, so I guess you don't really have to pay too much attention to this. But the opponent should be paying attention to Sableye's moveset, because I'll almost absolutely one-shots. Not going to lie, guys, I thought that was going to be the Carbine team. We get off a dying move of Sableye here, and instead of allowing the opponent to farm down and starting, you know, the switch clock and all that kind of stuff, I swap straight out. The opponent misaligned the clocks. At this point, I was actually going to let this go, but then I decide, like, there's no reason not to overheat. We're going to farm it the whole way down. That's going to be good games. We'll have 2 moves for the Superior. We're going to go for Ice Punch. The opponent probably lets this move go thinking it's a win con to call it, but there's no win con left at this point. Good games to the opponent there. I am seeing a lot of teams that are hunting for Magnezone in the back, like fire backlines or double fire. In the next match, we get an interesting lead in Dragonite. The opponent goes out immediately into a non-shadow for Alligator. I'm pretty happy to stay here for a second. I want to get a chip. Dragonite needs shields. This thing needs shields. It's a good opportunity for me just to pretty much take a move on Empoleon and come into my own either Annihilate, or I can come into Sableye. I'm going to come into Sableye on this occasion. I don't want to eat the Hydro, but I don't want to shield Eiler. So we're going to come in here, perhaps shield the second move if need be, and look to farm this the whole way down. Now listen guys, I don't know if you're like me, but I sometimes forget what the lead Pokemon was. I completely forget what the lead is, and I start Shadow Clawing. Look at this, I'm tapping on my screen to do Shadow Claws. It's Dragonite. They could have just farmed me down super quickly. Thankfully I react in time, get off the fell play, and I get the opponent's shield. They make an aggro swap into Verforn here, trying to get an energy lead, but that is not going to help them. Ape's going to come in, do Harambe things, punch this thing the whole way down, take one, CMP the move on 6. If you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times. However, I decide, you know what, I'm going to get a little bit fancy here. We're coming into Penguin, we're catching the move, and we're going to look to counter this the whole way down. We'll have 2 super effective Ice Punches ready to go. I think the opponent there, in that lead scenario, I think they sort of have to try to stay in a little bit longer against a few things. Of course, they don't want to shield the Dragonite, but they just give me such an opportunity to get so much energy in so many different places. Of course, Empoleon is a very negative lead for Dragonite, so they were just in a very tricky position from the get-go. Of course, I stayed into Chip, took the move, which means that they can't really flip swap on my following Pokemon, and of course, they have to shield a move from Sableye. Good games there. As you can see, we're up to 31-24, I think it was, and in comes a Venusaur. Very interesting safe swap here. Of course, it was Dragonite lead, Venusaur on the swap. I was running a similar team. The opponent farms up to just 1 before I get to the move. And they're in such a bad position now, because I can basically let Penguin go at this point, or I can play at the 2s and win CMP against the Venusaur. So they're in a pretty tricky position here. We're in the 1-to-1 shields. Do they come in Dragonite, or do they come in with their third? I'm not switch locked, so I come into Sableye here, and I look to start Shadow Clawing this Poliwrath down. I'm going to go for a CMP tie on the Icy Wind, to try to, of course, get some chip on the Poliwrath. The opponent shields up the move and then comes into Dragonite. However, they should have looked to chip me first or get the shield first. Sableye here just one-shots the Dragonite with the foul play. Because the opponent got a one-turn swap, I outpaced to the move. And we're going to farm this the whole way down. And yeah, curtains for them basically. I can tank anyone moving Ape, any Scald, anything. Hydro Pump me, big boy. Go on, Hydro Pump me. No, I'm going to shield it. I respect the Scald. I'm going to look to counter this the whole way down. The opponent goes straight Scald. I thought it would be their best probably move to do that, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We go for an Ice Punch. Good games well played to the opponent. At around this ELO, Empoleon lead seems to be working super well. We are definitely getting a lot of matches where we're getting very favourable alignment, but of course you have seen in this video, included in these 20 wins, we've had some pretty negative leads as well. And then this next one we have Empoleon versus Ape, very negative lead. We have to come into our hard answer here to force them out. The opponent stays in and thinks about chipping, but then they change their mind and come into Steelix. The opponent is what we like to call an insta-throwing Andy. He's an insta-throwing Andy. Goes for the Psychic Fangs immediately. I want him for the foul play. This will do heavy damage, but not going to threaten the knockout. The opponent shields up this move. I'm going to 1-and-throw the next foul play. This does not threaten the KO or threaten them into like Shadow Claw down range, but the opponent actually shields that move. Maybe they're overestimating the damage, or maybe I'm underestimating the damage. I don't think that was going to knock out or even close. So I can go one or two ways here. I can go Ape and take a bunch of Psychic Fangs, or I can go Penguin here. I decided to go Penguin. I can take a Crunch or whatever. They farm up here to the Earthquake, so I actually respect it. And now at this point, I'm just going straight to Ape. Ape up a shield just does so much work. Because the opponent, of course, is using Annihilate, I have to let this move go and save the shield for a Shadow Ball. The opponent comes into a Stinky Binky, and this should basically be game over. I've got energy in Penguin. I've got energy on the Annihilate. I can look to go for a Shadow Ball, 2 Shadow Balls on this. The opponent's Carbink is very, very bad, by the way. These counters don't normally do this much, and the second Shadow Ball is coming very close to KOing, but we're still in a very good position here. We have a full health from Empoleon. The opponent gets some counters for it, but I have a Drill Peck basically loaded, so all I need to do is basically Steel Wing this down before they get off 2 moves. We do get a CMP tie here, we win CMP. Just in case the opponent goes for Shadow Ball, we're going to respect it. They don't get there, and we farm it the whole way down. Good games to the opponent. So yeah, like I said about this team, guys, with Empoleon, even when you get negative leads like this, like I consider this to be a negative lead, because Superior wins the 2s. You can look to farm something down, and basically flip the match on its head, throw a bunch of energy on the Grass type, or the Annihilate, or the Fighter, whatever the case may be. So with this team, I never really felt like I had a bad lead. It just kind of felt like, okay, I swap out and I try to get play somewhere. You just force them out with Sableye. In this case, we've actually drawn at the Carbink. I deliberately didn't throw my second move, because once again, what are we looking to do here? We're looking to get energy in Penguin, we're looking to threaten whatever comes back in, and then sweep with Ape. That's the whole team, that's all you need to do, right? If you lose lead, go Sableye, farm something down with Penguin, throw your moves at whatever comes back in, sweep with Ape, up energy or up a shield. That's all you have to do with this team. It's super easy to use. The opponents can Rock Slide or Moonblast, doesn't matter. We're going to farm this down. Now we've got basically 2 Drill Pecks to threaten. The opponent threw 2 moves on the Sableye. I decided to shield one of the moves on Sableye even though I knew they had the Pokemon in the back, and the opponent makes a very nice catch in Dugong. However, this catch is going to seal it and deal it. If you see Superior lead, come immediately into Sableye. If they want to throw the move and chip you, that's perfectly fine. Just shield it. You're not worried about winning swap, you're worried about getting the Carbink out on the open so that you can farm it down basically. Throw 1 Power Gem onto it and then farm it the whole way down and get off multiple moves. As you can see here, we just have the opponent completely dominated. Once again, I go for Shadow Ball, it does more damage. The opponent probably knows that at that point. And yeah, good games. I make a mistake. I'm not getting to 2 Ice Punches, so I have no need to throw this. So that's fine. It doesn't matter. We punch down the snake, and that's good games well played. Guys, thank you very much everybody who's made it to this point in the video. If you have, please drop a like, subscribe, and into the final battle, we have a very negative lead. We're coming into Sableye. I'm going to put up 1 shield here, because the opponent might look to Wild Charge and dip. They actually go for Mirror Shot, which means their 2 Volt switches off the next Wild Charge. I go immediately for the Power Gem. Crocodile comes in, 2 for the Power Gem, bang! It does about 95% to it. We farm it the whole way down. Now what are you going to do, buddy? They come back in with Magnezone. We free and throw here. They get for another 2 Volt switches, I believe. And they probably will even get another one. So this is kind of awkward. They're on like 4 Volt switches here. But I just come in with Ape, counter it the whole way down. And what does the opponent have in the back? We're never going to know. We're never going to know. Actually, by the looks of things, we do have 1 more battle here, which hopefully will be a little bit longer. Fairthorn lead, so this is a pretty decent lead for Fairthorn. It's fairly neutral across the board. My fast moves are resisted. They know a move that can one-shot me. Definitely a little bit tricky. I go for Drill Peck, and I look to go for 1 and catch on the Sableye. I'm basically sacking the Sableye at this point. If they go for 2 moves, oh, I actually decide to shield it here. Quite interesting. And they come into Gligar, so by the looks of things, that's quite a decent shield. I think in this match, I make a hard team read that is going to be Fairthorn double flyer. I make this hard read. and I decide the opponent let the foul play through. They're not expecting me to shield because I've already shielded once, but they actually go double aerialist. So I decide, okay, we're going to commit to this farm down. Hopefully this is not a dig. I made a hard team read. I went down 2 shields on the swap. I don't really like doing that necessarily. I decide I'm also just going to throw the move immediately, and it turns out to be a Magnezone in the back. So honestly, taking alignment here was kind of important. We can put the ape on this, start punching the absolute crap out of it. I realize the penguin's just absolute dead weight. We go for the catch on the penguin, completely sacrificing it, and then we can just basically continue to counter everything down. The opponent will make it to a power whip. Now basically what I need to do here is just fully commit to the farm down. That's what I have to do, that's my win con. Fully commit, 1 and 4 in the Magnezone. I'm using a 2-turn move, they're using a 4-turn move. The damage will not apply, so I definitely get this off. And even though I'm super low, I'm going to do another 1 and 4 because again, the damage does not apply. So you do the 1 and 4, guarantee the knockout, and that's good games well played. Thank you so much everybody for watching, hope you all enjoyed. We're going to see the final ELO here at the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, of course, like I said, drop a like, subscribe. Thank you very much. We have a fantastic Discord community down below. We go 5-0 to finish out, and as you're about to see here, we do hit 3194. I've had a very difficult season this season, so being able to hit so high at this point in the season is amazing. I've been streaming most of my sets this season. I streamed all these sets today. You guys have seen me struggling, and in the last week I've just gained an absolute ton of ELO, like 700 ELO in the last week. So if you guys are still pushing, it's definitely possible. Give this team a try. If you don't like this team, try a different team that I've showcased this week. All of the teams I've showcased have been very strong, so let me know how this team goes for you in the comments down below. Thanks very much everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.